Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to talk about emotional support animals. So what inspired this topic is the other day, Scotty's Animals did a video about emotional support animals. And after scrolling through all the comments that have been made since he had posted it till last night, it was truly amazing to read everyone's experiences and how animals really can help them in more ways than we can imagine. So, I want to start off by talking just in general what an emotional support animal is. Now, all my information that I am going to be discussing is from Wikipedia. I will link that in the description below. You can do your own research on it if you wish. You don't have to listen to anything I'm telling you. Just take it with a grain of salt and let's have a discussion about this. So, what exactly is an emotional support animal? An emotional support animal provides relief to individuals that may have psychiatric disabilities through companionship. Emotional support animals can be any type of pet, not just dogs, and they're not recognized as service animals under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So, while service animals are trained to perform certain tasks like helping a person that's blind be able to navigate, an emotional support animal does not require any formal training to assist with the mitigation of mental health symptoms. Any animal that provides support, comfort, or aid to an individual through companionship or unconditional positive regard and affection may be regarded as an emotional support animal. And yes, that can include our very own guinea pigs. So, in the USA, people with psychiatric disabilities who own emotional support animals might be exempt from federal housing and travel rules. To receive the exemptions, the handler must meet the federal definition of disabled, and the emotional support animal must help alleviate the symptoms or the effects of whatever the disability might be. Often, an individual might or should present a letter from a certified healthcare provider stating that the emotional support animal is needed for their mental health. And that does make a lot of sense in some ways. But if you think about it, an emotional support animal to me is something completely different in definition to what it might mean to you. So for me, my guinea pigs are my emotional support system. So the fact that I wake up every morning, I have to clean their cage, feed them, take care of them, trim nails, grooming, all the same kind of things you would exhibit with taking care of a human child. I lost custody of my 3 children 2 years ago, and I refused to let myself fall into another deep depression. After my husband passed away in 2017, I went into a deep depression, and that lasted almost 5 years. So that brings us to 2 years ago. I refused to let myself fall into that deep depression again. So I needed to focus my love and my energy into something positive. And at that time, I was living in a 3-bedroom townhome, so I had plenty of space to take on these animals. And you might wonder, well, why did I choose guinea pigs? Why not cats? Why not dogs? Why not birds or any other species? Well, we can talk about that in a whole separate video. But I chose guinea pigs, and I feel they're easy to take care of. I don't have to worry about taking them out for walks in the cold because if you know me, I don't like cold weather. But again, we'll talk about that in a whole different video. But I just wanted to kind of give you a sense of why I feel my guinea pigs are an emotional support system for me. They give me purpose to wake up every day. Because without me, the 14 guinea pigs upstairs, what's going to happen to them? So, let's continue on here. There have been recent research studies that makes no sense to me. Apparently there's been recent research that have documented a correlation between companion animals and the improvement of their owner's mental health. And I will vouch for that because my guinea pigs give me a purpose to wake up every day. Now, I'm not relying on them to, bring me out of a horrible mood. If I'm feeling sad, I don't expect them to, change that mood. I'm responsible for my own emotions, if that makes any sense. But when I'm feeling sad and I go to cuddle a guinea pig, I feel my serotonin levels rising. And it does help improve the mood. So, let's see here. It says, any animal species under the current guidelines can be registered as emotional support animal. As it stands, these registered support animals are protected by their registration in relation to whether or not an ESA should be allowed in a rental property. It is thus necessary to perform an individualized assessment of the specific assistance animal and determine if it possesses a direct threat of harm or would cause substantial risk or disease or potential danger to other people may be excluded. Okay. Courts have recognized species, including guinea pigs and miniature horses, as emotional support animals. There is no requirement under U.S. federal law that emotional support animals must wear any identifying tags or patches, harnesses, or other indicating they are registered as ESAs. Interesting. Okay. So typically, emotional support animals have absolutely no training beyond what would be expected for the same type of animal. ESAs not only perform any emotional support animals need not perform any tasks other than what the pet of the same species would perform. So, if you have your guinea pig as an ESA, your guinea pig is expected to act like a guinea pig. Simple as that. That may include mounting, weaking, chutting, all kinds of normal guinea pig behavior. So if you have a dog as an ESA, then that dog would be expected to perform typical dog things, typical dog behaviors that may include or display unwanted behaviors such as defecating or pooping and peeing in inappropriate places, growling or barking at people, biting them. And you know what, even if you have a guinea pig as an ESA, that biting can be included in that. A lot of people I've seen on other platforms have the same repeated questions of why is my guinea pig biting me, da 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 da. We'll do a video about that again in the future. So both poorly trained emotional support animals and poorly trained pets that are being fraudulently passed off as ESAs represent a threat to the health, safety, and function of both people and trained service animals. So it's extremely important to consider all this when you're thinking of, registering an animal as an ESA. Now, down here on Wikipedia page, there is a bunch of other further information that you can read up on. Like I said, I will include the link in the description. There's information about Canada and statuses. Now, because I'm a Canadian, I will read this little blurb for you in case you didn't already know. So in Canada, emotional support animals are not considered service animals, and they're not protected under Canadian law. Canada's accessible transportation for persons with disabilities regulations statute only gives legal recognition to service dogs. That's defined as a dog that has been individually trained by an organization or person specializing in service dog training to perform a task or assist a person with disability with need related to their disability. So that means under the Canadian Human Rights Act, it is illegal to discriminate against a person with disability who has a service animal. This means the business and organizations must allow service animals to accompany their owners in public places such as restaurants, stores, and public transportation. So from what I'm understanding from this is you are allowed to have a service dog. You're not allowed to have an emotional support guinea pig. Not legally, not with your, earlier in the video I mentioned that in the US it's expected that you would be required to show a legal document from your doctor stating that you will benefit from having an emotional support animal. In Canada, that is not recognized. It's not allowed. It basically just does not exist. So I cannot legally take Bruno, for example, put him into, a carrier or my pocket of my hoodie or whatever. I can't go just take him and walk into an Eastside Mario's restaurant to have dinner or lunch and have him with me. I will be removed from that restaurant and possibly banned because it is illegal. If I had a service dog and I was blind or deaf or whatever the disability might be, and that dog is specifically trained for the aid of that disability, then that would be permitted. But otherwise, it's a no-go. Let's see. Air transportation for Canada. While Canada does not recognize ESAs, the U.S. airlines that operate in Canada might, but they're not required to do so. So some Canadian airlines allow emotional support animals to be transported on flights, but these are not considered to be service animals and they are subject to different rules and regulations. So for example, airlines may require documentation from a licensed mental health professional stating that the animal is necessary for the individual's emotional support. So it's kind of interesting how some of this does seem contradictory to one another. That's why it can be very complicated. And this is why for anyone that happens to go on Facebook, and they make a post in any given group asking, can I take my guinea pigs on an airline, or what airline allows it or whatnot? I'm sorry to tell you, but your easiest and absolute best solution will be for you yourself to call these airlines and find out what their rules and regulations are. Because what is allowed in Canada might not be allowed in the US. What's allowed in Australia might not be allowed in the US. What's allowed in the Antarctic might not be allowed in the South Arctic. That's not even a thing, but you get where I'm going with this. I'm sure you get where I'm going. So with all that in respect and regard with ESAs, I'd love to hear from all of you, what does an emotional support animal mean to you? With regards to guinea pigs or rabbits or any other species, what does it mean to you? Does it mean that you have to take this animal with you anywhere and everywhere you go? Or do you ask yourself, depending on species of animal, what's in the best interest of the animal? I want to hear your perspective, because my perspective is my guinea pigs are my emotional support system, but I always ask myself, what is in their best interest? You know, when I had a dog, I used to love taking my dog everywhere I could. You know, if I was going to visit a friend, or if I was just going for a drive, or even if I was just going to the store, I wanted to take him with me. Not because I thought of him as an emotional support animal, but because I wanted to spend quality time with my pet. If I wasn't going to be at home all day, I want to be there for him, and I want him to feel included, right? So I'd always want to take him with me, but it wasn't feasible. If it's summertime, it can get really hot in the car. I can't take him into a restaurant because I did not have him legally documented as an emotional support animal. Or, in my case, because I'm from Canada, a service dog. So there's a lot of, different things to consider about it. But I'd love to hear your opinion, your perspective. What is an ESA to you? What are the rules, the regulations, the laws from where you live? I know some of my viewers are from across the world, and I'd love to get different perspectives and understand different perspectives, so that when I do see messages or posts on Facebook, rather than me jumping to a conclusion saying, well, no, this is how it's done, or this is not allowed, I can be more open-minded, and I can, put myself in the perspective of, oh, well, maybe this person who lives, in this part of the world, and things are done this way over there. So I'd love to just expand my knowledge and be able to kind of just broaden my horizon, in a sense. I hope what I'm saying is making sense to you. I hope it's making sense to you. But yeah, that's what I have to say about ESAs. And I'd love to hear from you. So comment down below, let me know your experiences and your stories, and let's get a vast conversation going. And I will talk to you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.